What up, fam? What up, guys? Welcome to a new live stream. Welcome. Yeah. Let me know in the live chat if you're here and if everything is working. So I love to start out with that because I did a couple of live streams in the past and I had some technical problems, but today actually everything should work and look fine, hopefully. So let me know in the live chat if you're here and if you're pumped about today's live stream and the topic that I posted in the live stream title, because we are going to dive into the latest Apple iOS news and techniques and so on. And I even think that we will do more than one live stream about this whole topic, you know, because there's a lot that we have to cover. Let me get on my cell phone and on my cell phone. What is a cell phone again? On my iPhone and check if the live stream is actually working so that I'm not talking to myself here. It's always a little bit difficult to actually check if it's working. But yeah, we are live. I can see it on my phone right there. It's showing the live sign. And what we will do today in this live stream is to check out some of the things that Apple released in their latest WWDC, like their developer conference, and like especially the things that are relevant for designers. As I said, I don't think that we will cover all of the stuff in today's live stream, but we will continue doing live streams and I will tell you more about all the things that I learned and things that are probably relevant to you as well. So they have a fun website right here, and I saw this logo for the first time today actually. I think the one that we have in the video, like the video thumbnail, is the actual one, but they have some like versions of it. And I like that. I like these glowy graphics. Looks fun. Okay. What's basically new in iOS 13, which is the new iOS that will probably arrive in September or somewhere in autumn, is that we will have a dark mode and that apps will need to support dark mode in the long term. And Apple also made it clear that they are very interested, and it's like a big priority of them to force us designers and developers to include and focus on accessibility features in our apps. And I think that's also quite relevant for us designers because we have to consider things like accessibility, text sizes, alternative texts and stuff like that, zoom levels, whatever you can think of. You can like go to your settings on your iPhone or your Android phone and check out all the accessibility features. They will be more important than ever in iOS 13, as well as the dark mode. I think that some designers are now saying like, okay, this sounds like a huge restriction and problem and so on, but I think honestly our designs should be about and for the user. And if I talked to my dad actually like a week ago, and I asked him because I knew that he has an Android phone and I knew that he is actually using those accessibility features in like he's using the zoom level, like the advanced zoom level, you know, he's zooming in a bit. Every text and so on is a little bit bigger because he needs glasses. And my dad isn't that old, so I think that if we are also focusing on even like people who are 60, 70 or 80 years old, I think that's a pretty large group, like target group maybe even. People are getting older and more people nowadays need glasses, so accessibility features, especially the text sizes and so on, are more important than ever. And I think it's a good thing, actually, it's a good priority that Apple is now giving us designers and developers, because in the end they are not like ruining our designs, because users will now get a like super large text, but users will benefit from it because they can actually use our app. So imagine you have an app and you made an app for yourself or for your client, and you are not adding accessibility features like text size and text like larger text sizes and zoom levels or whatever they are called. You are not like incorporating those things into your app. And then you have like a competitor who's maybe not having a great product like on the same level as your product, but he's having those accessibility features in his app. And a user comes, installs your app, tries to use it, and it's really a pain for him to use it because the text is so narrow. He can't really read it. It's really hard. He has to go really close to his smartphone to actually read the text. And then he's looking at different apps who are maybe solving the same problem, and he is installing the app of one of the competitors and sees that he has large text. He's able to use the competitor app in a good way. Then the solution or the progress of the user is that he will probably uninstall your app because the app of the competitor is easier to use. Maybe it's not as good as your app, like if you look at the features and so on, or the design or whatever, but he's able to use it without pain, without, I don't know, struggles. I think that's the most important thing for users, and we should focus on that. Another thing like that they introduced is the dark mode on iOS. And I think that's also very important and very interesting for us designers, especially if you're designing in Sketch, because we are now used to have a dark mode on our macOS, and I guess many of you are using Sketch and other apps in a dark mode because you just like it, or you I don't know, you're working at night also, or anything like that. And now we are getting the same feature and the same, like, it's not like just a feature, I think it's bigger than that. We're getting the same for iOS. It's going to be interesting because you need to create a dark mode in your designs as well now. And you don't just need to create a dark mode or like a dark theme, but you need to consider a dark theme even when designing a light theme, as well as the accessibility features, of course. You have to be more dynamic now. It's not about static designs that are presented to the user, like the designs, exactly the design that you thought about and created in Sketch. It's more like it has to be a flexible and dynamic design that is like customizable by the user, so that he or she is able to use it in any context, in any environment, under every circumstances, you know? And that's not a restriction, but it can help us to make that, to become better designers and to understand our users, the users of our apps and designs, in a better way. And I thought about what we can do about designing a dark theme, a dark app in Sketch. And I will show you an example and things you need to consider in a few minutes. But I also want to dive into something else, which is pretty cool. But first, you can go to developer.apple.com/videos/WWDC 2019. I will also post the link in the live chat, so you can actually open it up with me. Hold on a second. So you should be able to see it and to browse it with me. Here are many videos that are like recorded and posted by Apple after the live event was over, I guess. And I think not all of those right here are relevant to you, because most of them are like an hour or so, but I think there are like 4 or 5 that you should watch. Visual design and accessibility is one of those, I guess. I don't know exactly which videos I watched or which not, but a couple of videos are really, really important and I remember those. So Platform State of the Union is probably one of the most important videos. Apple Design Awards is a fun video to watch, but it's more like a, I don't know, not an ad, but a promotion of a couple of apps, mostly games. And I think there was another one, design new things to design, new, what's new? Let me search for it. New in Swift. There's even a thing called Swift UI now, which is interesting for developers and maybe even for the future of Sketch. Design for privacy is also interesting. Oh, where is it? New. I thought it was design. I can't find it right now, but just browse this list. Ah yeah, this one was also super interesting, introducing iPad apps for Mac. This one is interesting because iPad apps will now be able to have a like Mac version in the future, and it's not just about porting the iPhone screen, the iPhone design directly to Mac, but to have a Mac version of it, and it's interesting. Yeah, you should have a look at this. And I think there was like one more, but I think they renamed it or split it into different videos because I watched a whole session, like not just a session like a single video here, but a longer video. But yeah, as I said, check out this whole list right here. You can filter it, you can just browse it and look at those videos and like educate yourself. I think that's important. We should not like ignore that. But that's not what I wanted to show you. Apple released something really cool and it's called SF Symbols. We have it right here. I guess most of you know SF, like the San Francisco font. And we now have an app that is working with the SF font. I don't have it installed here on my Mac already, but we will open it up and I will also send this link to you. It's the design part of apple.com. SF Symbols is an app that is giving us a variety of symbols, of icons basically, and it's like directly integrated in the font SF, like San Francisco, and you can just paste those icons directly in your text layer. I will show it to you in a second once we installed it. And in your app, it's perfectly aligned. It has different sizes, different weights, and it's perfectly aligned in your line. Let me install it. Let me show you what it does. Okay, so you can follow me, install it as well. License stuff, install. like that. Perfect. So now let's go and check out our app list. SF symbols, here we are. And you see that we have a little app right here that is also expandable, but I will just leave it like that. That has icons, and the first set of icons doesn't look special at all. But if you are looking for something like a checkmark icon, you're getting a variety of checkmark icons. Maybe we will find a trash bin for a delete thing, like settings. There is like a variety of design of icons right here. Let's go back to the checkmark. We have a checkmark right here, this one for example, and I can select it and I can hit CMD C to copy it. Now let's go into Sketch. Let's get into a new document, and in a new artboard I can create now a little text right here, and I have to change the font of it to San Francisco. I think it's Pro Text. I have a couple of those San Francisco fonts and I actually don't really know the correct one, but maybe it's working like on first try. If I now paste it, it's not working. So let me try a different font. SF. Otherwise I will just uninstall it and install the correct font. Oh yeah, so apparently, I don't know why, on SF Pro Rounded it's working. I guess I just have some like corrupted files or something like that. But you see, we have a little text layer right here, and it could say hello Max or hello community, whatever. And we have our icon directly in here. It could also say something like clean the floor, because it's like a task and you have a checkbox. Clean the floor. Let's copy it and let's try out another symbol. It's all in this single app. Let's go and go user or person. Yeah, we have a couple of icons, so I think it's like a ultra big set of icons. Is there a number anywhere? 1500 consistent icons. Let's grab such a user right here, copy it, go into your text layer, replace it. Boom! There we have it. It's simple as that. You don't have to align your icon and your text. Normally what I was doing is to paste an icon, to create a text layer and to align them and to check out if it's looking correctly or if it's like unaligned. But now it's perfectly aligned. And you can separate it like how you want. So it's easy to incorporate those icons, and it's also like a single UI kit that has the same style, that they look the same on every iPhone, on every iPad, on every Mac app probably even. And you can just use this. You don't have to think about a certain icon set or something like that. You can just use this native and free way to incorporate icons that are all looking in the same and they have the same style in your app. So I think that's a pretty cool feature by Apple. Let me know what you think about that. Would love to hear your feedback. Like, I'm not the one who created this, but would love to know your thoughts on SF symbols, because for me it's like pretty cool way to use icons, and I think it's also cool for developers because they are now able to just copy the text. They don't have to care about alignment as well as us. I think for us it was even easier to just like use our arrows, arrow keys on the keyboard and align it somehow. I think for developers it's not as easy as for us. And now they can just copy and paste the text and the icon is right there. So that's a great feature. I think in the good old HTML and CSS days, we also used icons, like Unicode icons in links or something like that. So it's comparable to that in a certain way. Okay, so SF symbols, pretty cool thing right here. I will paste this link to you in the live chat so you can check it out as well. Like right there. Okay, now let's move on to the second part, or the probably more interesting part of this live stream. It's about the dark UI that we are like focusing on now in Sketch. And I prepared something that's a test file, because we have a like app right here that has a light interface. And it's a bit broken. Usually there should be a text right here. And it's probably working in a second, and I will show you what the problem is right here. And I tried to make a dark version of this directly next to those files. So you see that we have the basic light version, which was the design that was there even before I made the dark ones. And here in the middle, I made a design where I used the symbols. I like have a couple of symbols here, the app bar and the tab bar. And in this first try, everything was converted from symbol to normal layers. Like I detached it. So everything in here is just plain layers, no symbols at all. Because it was like my first try to see how you can work with colors and whatnot. That was my first try, and then I tried to do the same, but this time I wanted to have symbols, and I wanted to have an easy way to transform the light design into a dark design. And I looked up a couple of tutorials about overrides, about this and that, and I will show you what I did. So at first I changed the background color to a dark color. That's something you could probably also do with a symbol, but I like to have the sketch background feature. Maybe Sketch team, you should include something like a dark and light arrow checkmark right here. Then what I did was to look at this app bar, and I tried to get a different style, like a different color for the active tab and the inactive tab. So I have to check out what is like this right here. We have an active version, and we have a secondary option, an inactive option, which is like also dark. And I can use the overrides right here. I think I have used it correctly, but you can also give me tips if I did it wrong. I can even select like the inactive version right here, because I maybe want to design a screen where the left tab is the inactive one and the right tab is the active one. I can change it to light or dark, and we should be able to actually override our option right here, bring it to light, and it's showing up. So if you know about sketch overrides already, you should be probably able to recreate this very, very easily. If I select the light version, it's basically selecting the color over here, but of course we want to have a dark version. And I can turn it around as well to have a dark secondary option right here. And this one is a This one is the secondary option and should be like that. Somehow I mixed up something and should probably ignore this one right there. So what I now should do is to have such a indicator also for the right side, but I don't have that yet. But that way I could easily create a design for both of those states, you know. Okay, then I changed this little slider right here, and I did this without any symbols, but I created text styles. And I'm one of those lazy designers before, because now I want to change. In the past, I didn't really work with many symbols. I had a few basic symbols on a couple of designs, but I didn't work with any text styles or layer styles. But now, for my upcoming project and so on, I really want to use and force myself to use all of those automatic, created and maintainable things like text layers, layer styles, text styles, layer styles, and symbols. And I created a couple of those. So we have a contract title right here, we have a contract title address, and we have an subheadline. So I created a couple of text styles for all of those elements basically. And then we have those list elements. And those list elements are also again text styles. We have a red text dark, and I actually, if I would do it from the start, would also create a red text light, so I can use it right here. This one has no text style yet, as well as this one, because yeah, this one has the text style already, but this not. This was just to try out stuff, and this one is the correct file actually. The difference between those colors right here, the color of this red title and the red right here, isn't that big. So right here we have E3000F, and here we have FF212F. So they are different. That's what I wanted to tell you. They are different, and I checked and tried to check a contrast, because if I would use this red right here in my dark mode, it would look terrible and the contrast wouldn't be good, as well as other colors. I think the green color is maybe also changed on our dark UI, because you need to have a certain contrast between the background color and the foreground or item color. And I use something like contrast check UI tool. What is it called? Use contrast. It's created by a couple of people from the design community of these two guys. Thanks guys. And it's awesome, because you are now able to select a certain color and a second color, and you can compare them and get an impression of the contrast by this number here. And there's like a certain guideline or standard or something like that. And I think, if I remember correctly, a good contrast has a number of 4 or 5 or higher. So I checked all of those colors in my UI, and with this little tool, it costs a few bucks on our app store, but it's totally worth it. It's $6, it's not a lot. So I should actually have it right here. I can download it instantly because I have it already. It's awesome, you know. I will make a video about this or a live stream, but I don't want to show it to you today because it would be too much. I just want to give you an overview and an impression of what we can do in Sketch to support the dark mode and to adapt our designs to it. And I think this one is a pretty good example, because it's a really, really, really light interface, and this one is the totally opposite of it. And it's really important to make and create dark modes for your apps as well, because I think all of us use our mobile phones at night or in our beds, or in dark environments. And using a really light app in those environments is sometimes really a pain for our eyes. And I think when every app in a couple of months will support a dark mode and it's changing dynamically, you don't have to do anything by your own, then we will have a whole new experience of using our apps, especially, as I said, at night or in the evening. So let me know what you think about accessibility and, wow, that's a difficult word to me as a German. Accessibility. No, it's actually easy sometimes. What do you think about accessibility? What do you think about the dark mode? I will create one of those dark modes with you in the next live stream. And we will also use the contrast tool that I showed you. Use contrast or contrast. We will use those. Maybe I'm even able to get a few free licenses and promo codes for you guys. That would actually be pretty cool. As I said, I purchased it for $7. It's a game changer for creating such a dark UI. Not just for apps, also for the web. You can use it for basically anything to check a certain contrast. I'm pretty pumped about those new features, those new things. And as I said, in the upcoming live stream or the upcoming video, I will create a dark UI from a light UI. I will use contrast. I will try to give you a few tips. We will use symbols and overrides as I did it in this artboard right here already, because I want to have a really easy and somehow automated process to turn light UIs into dark UIs. Of course, you have to doodle this and there on every artboard and screen, but most of the elements or the repetitive elements should actually be quite easy to replace and to use symbols and overrides for that. So I hope you enjoyed this little live stream. I hope you learned one or two new things about the latest Apple iOS ecosystem news and stuff that are relevant for designers. Because this is something that I learned in the last couple of weeks, and I practiced it and I just tried out new technologies, and that's awesome. That keeps us going, that keeps me going. I want to educate and learn new things, and I really enjoyed doing it. So if you have any questions, you can of course leave them in the live chat or in the comment section once this video is uploaded to YouTube. Of course, it will be available for you archived on the channel after the live stream ended. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your time. We will see us in the next live stream, and hopefully you will be there as well. If you enjoyed it, you can of course subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And you can also of course give the video a thumb up. That would be really helpful. So thank you so much, guys. We will see us in the next one. Bye.